Okay, good evening, everybody. Tonight we've got these candidates here who are going to be standing to become the next councillors of Paraparaumu Ward. And they're going to be spending their time answering these questions on why they should be there. But as usual, if it's in the ballot and when it comes to elections, there's one thing standing in the way, and that's your vote. And welcome to It's in the Ballot. We're here in the Paraparaumu Ward at Kapiti Impact Hub, which is one of the venues in the heart of the Paraparaumu Ward. I know myself, I spent 18 years living here, so it feels a bit good to be home after all the time I've been away. Now, with tonight, I haven't got a co-host with me, so I'm going to be doing everything. So, so going to be getting me to have fun in there and doing all the roles around there. Now, before we get to our candidates for the interest statement, we're going to sit there and let you have a nice look at the Paraparaumu Ward, and you can find out whether you're in the boundaries or not, and exactly how to vote in the Paraparaumu Ward.
Paraparaumu Ward of Kapiti Coast District Council. The Paraparaumu Ward is one of 4 wards that are situated along the Kapiti Coast. The Paraparaumu Ward includes the areas of Paraparaumu Beach, Aitahanga, Paraparaumu, and the back bit behind Down Valley Road up to the Waterfall Road. Paraparaumu Ward has some unique attractions. It has the Coastland Shopping Centre. It also has a railway station, the Paraparaumu Railway Station. It has an airport, better known as Paraparaumu Airport. It also has a shopping centre, Kapiti Landing. And it also features one of the 2 local secondary schools in the area. Plus, if you head up to the hills, there's also the statue of Mary. Now, the important part, how many positions are available? Well, for the Paraparaumu Ward, you'll be electing 3 councillors this local body elections, and you'll be using the voting system single transferable vote, better known as STV. Plus, just a reminder, you'll also be electing 4 members for the Paraparaumu Community Board, also using the same voting system, single transferable vote. When voting using STV, remember to rank your candidates in order of preference, starting with number 1 and then going number 2, number 3, number 4, number 5 down the ballot paper. You can rank as many candidates as you want or as few candidates as you want.
Okay, so that's a little bit of a heads up of where you lie within the Paraparaumu Ward. So let's get out to the fun part of our opening statements. Martin Halliday, I've got it right?
You have.
Yes, you get to be number 1 for your opening statement speech.
Fantastic. I'm going to stand, actually.
And make sure you have the mic up there so we can hear the people from home can hear you.
Tēnā koutou katoa. Ko Martin Halliday aho. Ngāti Poru is my iwi, and I'm a Kapiti Coast local. Born and bred in Wellington, I moved up here about 15 years ago. And Paraparaumu, you're an absolutely fantastic place. I'm your current ward councillor, and I have felt privileged to serve you, my community, over the past 3 years. I have a hospitality background, 35 odd years. I've owned a couple of businesses up here, down at the beach and up at Lindau as well as in Wellington. I have a business background, bit of an entrepreneurial background as well, I guess. And when I was elected as your ward councillor 3 years ago, I made the decision to commit to the role full time. So over the last 3 years, I've immersed myself in the role, and I've done the graft, if you like, with regards to getting my head around how council works, because I do assure you it is not straightforward. So I ask for your consideration in the coming elections. I'm looking forward to the questions tonight. I wish all my, I won't say competitors, but other people that have, members of our community that have taken the time to put their hand up to represent you, all the best for the coming election period. And I hope to see you out on the election trail. Kia ora.
Okay, next up, Murray Lobs. Lob. Got that one right? I feel so bad with that.
Guys, how do you follow Martin Halliday? I've lived in this little bit of paradise for over 40 years. I've raised a family here. I started an IT business here, which I sold ran for 25 years and sold recently. I've been committed to giving back to the community through my involvement with Kapiti Rotary. I've become increasingly frustrated recently with the lack of governance that I'm seeing out of our council and the closed door meetings that I think have led to some very bad decisions. If I'm elected, I will bring my inclusive style of leadership to council. I believe that council should be making it easier for people to get things done and to remove the obstacles. Thank you.
Thank you, Murray. Okay, and next up is David Ogden.
Good evening, Kia ora. My name is David Ogden, or as my mentor when I was the mayor of Lower Hutt gave me a name, Rawiri Okatani. Sam and Auntie June, as they were called, they were our members of the Te Atiawa iwi. So I'm here because I think there is a need for some experience, and I think I do bring a lot of experience to the tasks that are in hand. I have been a regional councillor, a city councillor, a mayor, and I was on the Hutt District Health Board for 15 years during that time as well. The things that I want to concentrate on are managing the rates, controlling the rates. I think when you look at the people that are young people with mortgages and the older people, and remember we're the second highest demographic collection of older people in the country. I think up north has got the first one. But we are very conscious of that demographic. I think we need to control the rates. I was told when I was interviewed for Access Radio not to be derogatory, so I won't be derogatory about that. But I think we could do better. We can do better. Secondly, I want us to have a nice, successful council. If I'm elected, I want to be part of a really good team that gets on. And you'll find if you become other people here, candidates, if you become a councillor or on a community board, you become part of the local family. You have a family connection. And I want us to be a successful council. I want the councillors and the community board members to be part of a great team that wins. And also the staff. I want the staff to be well trained. I want them to be on continuing education, be the best in the country. And I think we can be best. I think the word best is a word that we can use. We should have goals that we aim for. And also the third thing that I want to concentrate is Paraparaumu, here, us. The candidates here, and good luck to all of you. When the candidates become councillors, they have to concentrate on Paraparaumu as well as the wider district. And that, of course, includes the island that we look at across the sea. It's part of our ward. So there are many, many things that we have to look at, not only our people, our values, there's transport, there's medicine, security. One of the really startling things for me when I was the mayor of Lower Hutt was we had a Christmas pay in the police station. There were 170 sworn officers, and they stood for an hour, and it really is a truth, I think, that without the police, we would have a great deal of trouble. We need to work in with the police in whatever we do here. So there's that. There's a whole question of transport and the health sector, of course. We need to work with government. And another thing I just want to touch upon before, we're going to have a lot of other questions coming, obviously, but I want to talk about housing. It is a huge problem, and I don't think any local authority can solve it without the help of government. You know, $100 million, that's going to build 100 houses. Well, perhaps less, more now, because of the way houses are going, all the cost of buildings is going up. But we need the help of government, the funding of government, and we need to work with the government of the day. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you, David. Next up is Martin Frorenstein. Have I got that one right? Because I know you. It's a tongue twister.
You nearly got it right, but maybe at the next election and the next event that we hold, you'll be able to get it right.
And how does it feel to be back here 2 years later, considering you're the only one in this room who has appeared on It's in the Ballot already?
Well, last time it didn't work so well, so this time let's hope it's a bit better.
Fingers crossed.
Thank you very much. My name is Martin Frorenstein. I'm probably, except for Greg, maybe the youngest here. And I moved to the Kapiti Coast in 2019 and working for the Ministry of Health around the National Health Information Platform, I became patently aware of what the health reforms are actually going to do for us. Health localities are an important part for an aging demographic that we have. Unless we front foot what it is that we as a community want, we are not going to be able to get what we need. We need the community's involvement, and we need to be proactive in getting there. That's one thing. To be proactive within the community, we as a council need to be transparent. So far, the window's been a little bit dirty and we haven't been able to look in. So we'll just need to wash that window. We also need to be transparent, and we need to do something that the community wants us to do, not what some egos want to do. And those three things, the health localities, being the transparent organization that we should be, delivering to our community, and just doing the simple things with the community, not to the community. Thank you.
Okay, next up is Glenn Cooper. So the test is working?
Yeah, test. Yeah, hi, my name is Glenn Cooper, and I was actually born in South Island, moved up here in 2000 when I joined the New Zealand Police. So I have a family here, a lovely wife, Vicky, and two beautiful kids, Holly and Lucy. We have 2 cats and 2 dogs, so we cover the whole spectrum of the community in the house. So I spent 18 years in the police, most of which was a detective and detective sergeant across Wellington District. So some of you may know me from my policing days, or most recently I have owned the business, the Kapiti Island boat that goes out to Kapiti Island. So for the last 4 years I've been involved in small business and very much involved in the local community down here in Paraparaumu Beach. So certainly from my policing and my upbringing in Harry, the values I bring around integrity, honesty, loyalty are probably the 3 big ones that sit well with me. I'll tell you what I'm not. I'm not a politician. I'm not into sneaky backroom deals. I'm not into saying something to some people and doing something completely different, like we've seen with some policy lately. And to coin a good friend of mine, I'm not into shady shit. Can I say that? So unfortunately, there are some of the attributes we've seen out of the council in the last 3 years. And certainly if I'm voted as ward councillor, I'll bring the values that sit very firmly on my shoulders: integrity, loyalty, honesty. So Probably because of my police background, I bring an evidence-based approach to most of my thinking, and that's a really good starting point. So we're dealing with fact and evidence, and not emotion and hearsay. So for me, when I'm decision-making, making decisions at the council, there will be a test that will sit across every decision. One will be, is it fiscally, financially viable for the community? And does it have community support? So we've got a cost of living crisis here on the coast. We've got rates affordability issues, and I think every decision that I make as a councillor will be fiscally responsible and certainly would need community support if it's not fiscally important. So we've got some big, for Paraparaumu Ward, we've got some big issues coming up. We've got 3 waters. We've got the coastal assessment panel around climate change and erosion of the coast, and we've got discussions around the airport as well. So those are the 3 big ones. We've got, I don't have all the answers. I'm certainly a person who believes the community should drive the council. So instead of having a top-down mentality, which we've had, decisions driven by the CE and the Mayor, we should have decisions driven by the community. So let's empower the community boards. Community boards should be out there active in the communities. They should be feeding up to the ward councillors and district councillors, and the councillors then should be taking the will of the people to the table. That's what I'll bring as a councillor. Thank you.
Okay, we're now off for a quick break. I'll take a walk to the other end of the stage, and we'll get to the ballot box questions. See you soon. Welcome back to It's in the Ballot, and I'm over on the other side of the stage tonight doing 2 jobs for the price of 1. So, you know, when we do things on the budget here, we sometimes have to do 2 for the price of 1, and you got 2 Sams tonight doing 2 roles. So, yeah, I think that's, yeah, thank you, Stacey. Yeah. Now, one of the things we do have here with It's in the Ballot, when it comes to the question boxes, we have 28 questions in there, and we have 2 booby questions. Yeah. Okay. Sorry, Eddie's talking to me in my ear at the moment, along with a few others. So with with the booby questions. Okay, hopefully the communication stops. And actually, I'm taking it out. Okay, that works. So with the 2 booby questions here, we have them called Dodge the Question and Defer the Question to Another Candidate. They are get out jail free cards with the principle behind them for them not to be used throughout the show and keep them as souvenirs for later. If you would like to check out, Wayne Guppy is keeping Dodge the Question at the Upper Hutt Council chambers for when other councillors are preparing to dodge them in the future. So that's the thing there. And the saying goes here, we don't have, when it comes to the bags, it's not, will you take the money or the bag? We work on the theme of, you chose it, you brought it, now you have to answer it. So we think that's a good theme, and I have to thank Stacey, my second in command, for bringing that. So first up, we have Martin Halliday. What box number do you fancy?
Give me number 3.
Number 3. So. And as we traditionally do here with It's in the Ballot, I don't know what questions are in what boxes, but I get the fun joys of doing that. Okay, so I get to press this button here, and then we have the questions show up on the screen. Okay, now here's the question. Dog owners in Christchurch have been issued with a lifelong metal disc engraved with their pet owner's unique identification number from June 2022 under a change to the dog registration stream to help with the environment. Do you think the Kapiti Coast should adopt this policy?
Rightio. In answer to this question, this is how good we are. We've already adopted it.
So is that a question that's kind of been a bit achieved before you've been
It's a little
elected?
bit past its use by date, I'm afraid. We actually introduced that as part of our policy this year because we think it's a great idea. We've got a huge amount of dog. Oh, sorry, I'm supposed to be over here, aren't I?
That's all right.
We have a very large amount of dog ownership on the Kapiti Coast. I have a lovely little dog called Millie. And we've got some great parks. We've got some great dog walking parks. And we've got fantastic beaches up here as well for walking areas. But with regards to that particular question, we've actually already adopted that as our policy because we like good ideas up here on the Kapiti Coast. And if we see other people doing them, we'll take them and we'll adopt them for our own. Kia ora.
Okay, next up is Glenn. What box number do you fancy?
9's always been lucky for me.
9?
I won the meat packet this cut on number 9.
Number 9. Okay. Okay, we got this one here. What are the challenges facing the Waikanae River and its streams? What are your priorities for protecting and enhancing the quality of these water sources?
Well, poor Waikanae River, it's getting drained dry, isn't it? And getting sucked out for our drinking water. Yeah, obviously the big one is climate change. We're getting some major floods down there and erosion. So, yeah, poor old Waikanae River. So the council have invested in the Waikanae River with planting trees and some good ecological stuff going on down there. But I think certainly it's the life force of the north end of our catchment. So I think we should continue to plant the native trees down there and keep our tracks in good order and just cherish it and look after it.
Okay, and next up is David. What box number do you fancy?
30 or 6, please.
Oh,
Take a pick.
well, 6 is a bit closer for me to grab.
Okay. There's a great system you got going there.
Oh, I know. I mean, it's, it's quite, a lot of technological parts. And I mean, it has been said earlier, being the producer, the founder, and every man under the sun, you control a lot of things.
I see the numbers are in Te Reo too, which is very good.
Yeah, yes,
So
no,
he
that
really
was
is,
purposely done, and also with the name graphics as well. So when the box pops up on the screen, we've got that down there as well. Now, we got the question here. Should councils employ public relation teams?
Yes. Yes, as long as they tell the truth. Like Wellington's got Mr. McLean, and he's been there for years and years and years. And when they've got problems, they go to him, like all the slips. And I think it's good to have journalists can be split up into two. It shouldn't mean all public relations people are journalists. They're either bees that go and look at flowers, or they're flies that go and look at other things. So it depends what sort of person you want to tell the people. His politicians got a rough ride here. You know what politicians are, but I think the whole question, I hope that we're going to have a really good, honest group of councillors in the coming 3 years.
Yeah, there could be all sorts in there. Okay, thanks for letting me know that one. Okay, now Martin, you get to choose the next number. What number do you fancy?
21.
21. Okay. I know. And the annoying part is having to walk all the way around here for this. You get the booby card of defer the question to another candidate. So now I get to walk back in front and you can choose another number. Let's make it number 12. Ooh, where do we? Oh, thank goodness, it's not a booby question. However, I think this question here may have already been a bit sussed in this area. Let's get it up there. Do you agree that if there is a move to introduce volumetric water charges for the residents, it should only be done with the consent of the majority vote? And I do think the Kapiti Coast is already there yet, but I do believe it may have not been introduced with the majority vote because I know a lot of naysayers on it.
It's actually very simple. Without the majority vote, then the council is telling the community as to what it is that they're actually wanting or what they are going to do. That sounds very authoritarian to me, and it doesn't sound very democratic either. So if there is a need, let us understand what the need is, and then when you tell us that the only way to fix that need is to charge us some extra money for something that came from heaven, then maybe we'll have a discussion on that. But I don't think that it should be a simple decision made by the council. The community needs to say yes or no and what the details are around it.
Okay, Murray.
This is so unfair. The 4 questions I swatted up on have gone.
So what box number do you fancy?
23 has been my lucky number.
So box number 23, let's... Yes.
That's the greatest question I've ever seen.
I know. And guess what? We can't blame you for a bad answer because what is it going to bring? So let's give that another chance. What box number would you like? And I'm sure we're not going to find another missing box again.
25.
25. Thank goodness there's a question card in here. It's not a baby question. Thank goodness. So let's get to here. What do you consider to be the council's key responsibilities and what order of priority? Okay,
As I see it, council is like the board of an organisation, and the mayor is like the chairman of the board. I believe that council should be setting the strategy for the organisation, and that should be clearly outlined to the chief executive, and it's then the chief executive's job to implement it. That also needs to be measured. There needs to be KPIs put into place so that the chief executive has something to be measured about it. And if he's not doing the job, if he's not meeting those KPIs, there needs to be action taken about that.
And I love your answer mentioning that the council is an executive of a board, not a divided House of Representatives, as some people think they are. Okay, and Murray, get to choose another box number because you're top of the next list.
Legs 11. Not that my mother took me to bingo all the time.
Okay, now we get to here. How respectful is the relationship between central and local government?
I hate to sound negative, but I don't think it's very good. I see central government as devolving costs out to local government. It's a very easy plan. They don't have to raise taxes, so they look good, but the councils have got to raise rates. That's it.
That's it. Okay, Martin. It's annoying when you two sit next to each other.
Which Martin is that?
I know. You probably should do this as a theme for all the Met candidates you go to as well. What box number?
How about number 7? How about number 7? Oh, we've done number 7?
Yes, we got number 7.
Fantastic. What's it going to be?
Dun, dun, dun. You have been given Dodge the Question.
What's the question?
Now, what box number would you like to actually answer the question from?
Oh, I don't know. This is getting a bit intense. Number 27. Thank you very much.
Number 27. Let's head for it.
Selwyn Too Good springs to mind.
Yeah, but I wouldn't be number one person for cancel culture, though. Considering I can think some of the stuff he would sit there and say he wouldn't stand now.
It's very, very true. Very true.
Okay. Last year, some councils decided to create multi-wards for local body elections. Kapiti Coast District Council didn't. What would your position be for? What would be your position of creating a multi-ward for the 2025 local body elections?
Oh, that's a pretty serious question. Look, I would fully support it. Moving forward, I think our Māori wards give a very good over the district representation. I know there is question with regards to iwi representation, which is now currently being introduced to the council table, but I feel that Māori wards create that larger voice for both iwi and non-iwi in the area. This time around, I think maybe we didn't have enough debate in the space and didn't perhaps have enough of an understanding about the ins and outs of the Māori ward. So I certainly look forward to that being a more informed process through the next decision we make in that space.
Okay, next up, David. What box number do you fancy?
6, please.
6. No, this number 6 has already gone.
Oh, 7,
Out of luck.
8.
I'm sure we can sit there and do that. Now, I think 8 in Māori is waru.
Or 31, which you haven't got.
I don't know. The funny part is,
2.
now that number isn't incorrect, but on my card, ironically, it's the same number. So that's quite a weird coincidence. Okay, what's your biggest priority for the next term, and how do you intend on delivering that?
Well, there are hundreds of priorities really, but the one that I've put out there as my first is controlling the rates. I think we need to get these under control, and it can be done quite easily. If I'm elected, I will suggest to the rest of the team that we set the rates at the rate of inflation, and the rate of inflation will come down with the Reserve Bank operating. And as I've seen done in other places, we have the rate of inflation plus, say, 0.5%. So we ask the new CEO, would you please set the total of the rateable amount at the rate of inflation plus 0.5%, and it works. And if the rate of inflation goes up or down, well, that's how you do it. And it works. That's certainly my experience about it. Thank you.
That's a very interesting method to work on. Okay, and next up for the next Martin. Now, we can assure you, you're not going to get a booby question because I think they're all being taken.
Okay, so how about 29?
29. What are you going to do to ensure young people's voices are heard and actions to be kept our city vibrant and growing? Well, I think it might be town for this situation, but we might be a city one day.
I have a problem with this question because it's actually selective. And I think that we all have an option and a voice. And it's not just the young, because as we've heard previously, this electorate has a very large demographic of older people. And their voice hasn't been heard. So what's going to make the younger voice be heard? I think we should all be heard, because we are all living together. And therefore, how does a family live just by listening to the children? Can't live. So therefore, the family as a whole needs to be heard, not just the young.
Okay, Glenn, what box number do you want to pick?
I can number one, thanks.
Number 1. Okay. Do you support the use of masks, especially especially indoor, as an important tool for keeping COVID at bay and others safe?
You like that? I support personal responsibility. I think what we've seen with the pandemic over the last 2 years is that we've had a lot of mandates, and we've had a lot of things forced on us, sometimes without good science or good thought, or forced on us for too long. So moving forward with the pandemic and different variants that we're going to see in the future, I fully support people choosing their own decisions for their health benefits. I'm not big on forcing people to do anything, really. So people want to wear them, that's awesome. People don't want to wear them, that's personal responsibility.
Thank you. And while we're there, you are up next to get another question.
Can we ask the audience? What do you think, Glenn?
Yeah, what box number are we suggesting from the audience? So do we have 18? Yes, we do have 18 sitting there. We're happy to go with 18. That's all right. We don't mind some audience involvement. That's what we have an audience for. Okay. What is your position on housing intensification near the Paraparaumu train station, and how many stories high should it go?
Yeah, well, that's interesting, isn't it? Because the legislation has just been changed and to some degree forced on us by central government. And I think what we are seeing with the Local Government Act changes, this is going to happen more and more, where central government are going to pressure councils to come into alignment, and councils are going to get very little say on it. So, you know, who cares what Glenn Cooper says?
You know? I like the honesty of the answer.
Yeah. We'll comply with the policy and the legislation as it's laid out. And, do I think we should have 12?
God, that would be quite daunting,
buildings?
especially across the road from the petrol station.
I think to a big degree that the business will dictate whether it's built or not. Supply and demand forces.
Yeah. Okay, Martin. Really?
Question.
God, that quick? We haven't even put the box yet.
You got to get in. You got to get in. Rightio. I'll go number 26, thank you, because I can see the box.
Okay, so off to number that one there. What are your priorities to work on for the next 3 years if you are elected?
Righty-o. What are the priorities we're going to work on for the next 3 years if you're elected? Team building's a big one for me. I think it's going to be very important coming into the next triennium that we are working well as a team. I would like to see us empowered, if you like, and I think that's a very important thing moving forward. But my three biggest things are housing, dealing with reform, and rates. Housing with regards to, we've got a housing crisis. There's no two ways about that. Everyone knows this. This triennium, we've been able to put some strategies in place, some high-level strategies, and I'm looking forward to this coming triennium being able to bring that closer to the rock face with regards to dealing with regulatory issues. But Council's also looking at a CLT, which is a community land trust, and I think that could be a very effective pathway. It's out for consultation at the moment with regards to community looking after community, because I do believe local needs local and knows local. Reform, we have got a pile of reform coming down the pipeline from central government, as Glenn just alluded to, and I think it's important that we're going to have strong advocacy for our local community. Otherwise, especially a place the size of Kapiti, with centralisation that's going on, we're going to need strong voices. And as Mr. Oglin's also pointed out, rates. We need to, when's enough with rates? I think we're pretty much well there. Local government reform is going to be very interesting to see what local government looks like in the not too distant future. So, as I said, climate, everyone talks about climate being so important. I think nowadays it's embedded. You know, climate is just one of those things now that we have to live with, the climate issues, sustainability, and that's really an overarching thing that really needs to be sitting in all decisions that we make moving forward. So that's about my bit on that. But I guess there is one other fun thing that I'd like to put a shout out to, and that's whale song in the Whanemaku Park. I think that for myself, that's going to be a personal project that I look forward to seeing how we at Council can help empower that moving forward, which I think will be an awesome thing to develop for the Kapiti Coast, and especially Paraparaumu.
Okay. Next up, Murray. What box number?
16 looks empty.
Well, it's got an empty answer at the moment. However, we're now going to be filling it up. Okay. How do you propose to foster a more positive public impression of more active modes of transport, such as cycling and walking?
Well, I'm one of the founding members of the Kapiti Cruisers cycling group. It's a cycling group, not a cycling club. So this one's fallen right in my lap. We set up the Kapiti Cruisers to promote a good relationship between cyclists and the rest of the community. We're very lucky that we've got the start of a good cycling network in Kapiti that's going to go through to Otaki. I've got to say that I had a little hand in getting it through to Otaki, because the original plan was that it stopped at Peka Peka. But I think as a council, along with Waka Koutari, we've got to work on educating drivers to work with cyclists, and we've got to work on educating cyclists to work with drivers and with people who are walking.
Okay, next up, David.
Um, 19, please.
Oh, yes, we've got 19.
I hope it's an easy one.
I'm not sure if you might find that. It might be one of those ones that the NIMBYs might not quite like. Do you support more housing in your ward? And if so, how would you see this achieved?
What I don't want to see is too much housing. I've thought quite a lot about this over the last 2 or 3 years, and I think what we need is a plan. I think it's called a spatial plan now, but I think we need a town plan that we all agree with, that's pretty, handsome, attractive, and we are a community, not just one big line of streets going from here to Horowhenua. I think we need something that's planned, so that we all really believe in and we want. So I don't I don't think we need more housing. I mean, people want more housing to raise rates, you know. And one thing, could I just say, we don't need these 3-story buildings being built next door to us that National and Labor both approved. So I'll put that plug in. No, we don't. We need enough housing, and it's got to be enough housing that people who have not got the facility or the assets to buy into a proper, they should be helped by the state and the council to some extent. So we should have housing for everybody in
Would
our
that
society.
be saying something like a rent to own sort of system?
Sorry, I didn't quite catch that.
Would that be something like rent to own?
Yes, that's a great idea. Yeah, I believe that would work.
That would be how I would get onto the property market at the moment. So
Yeah.
I know the feeling.
Yeah.
Okay. Martin, you're up next.
I was starting to feel left out there.
I know. You know, when you have about 8 places away, it does feel like it. Not sure if it was 8, but you know,
Okay, 28.
28.
That's free.
What are the best strategies to reduce flood risk?
You know, the Nile in Egypt floods, and the farmers like the idea that it actually floods. The only time a flood isn't actually something good is when there are houses in the way. So maybe the question should more be, how do we make sure that we only build where the water doesn't want to go? And the idea of the flooding, it's going to happen. And let's start being a little bit realistic and slightly more responsible as to where we build. Because we can't stop the water falling out the sky. And when it does fall, and we've made the mistake of where we've built, then are we blaming flooding or are we blaming us building? And I think we need to turn the question around and ask it the other way.
I like that answer. It's well thought out. Now we'll just head to your neighbour to the left, Martin. I know. Well, that's what I love about random order sheets. They put the candidates in different orders, and you kept on your toes. None of this left to right stuff.
Is that number 15? Is number 15 free? What do you think, audience? Number 15 free?
Yeah. Let's go for it.
Come on, what do you say? What do you say?
So, is it money or the bag? Oh, sorry. It was you chose it. You brought it. Now you got to answer it. Okay. How will you personally role model reducing climate change, such as walking to work every day or eating a plant-based diet?
Rightio. Well, look, first up, I think what's very, very important with regards to sustainability and climate is the choices we personally make. We're getting to the stage where everyone considers this one of those big issues that how the heck do I step into it? And I think initially it's got to be from the decisions you make yourself. Every small decision you make builds up. So I'm in the process of upcycling our house with a relocatable house. So that's my big one at the moment. And it's going to be moved to a place where I can walk to work, which is fantastic. That's another one. I went vegan for 4 months on the advice of my wife, and that was a very interesting experience. But what it did is it broke all my eating habits, and I now eat a lot less meat. So I would advise people to perhaps give it a crack. It's something different to try. Cycling, look, as Murray pointed out, we have got fantastic cycle tracks up here. I'm quite keen to get myself a bike once we do get moved down here. And moving up from Wellington, one of the things I love about the Kapiti Coast is it's flat. And I think anyone that lives in Wellington will appreciate that. So thank you, Murray, for getting that hookup to Oltaki, because I think we can cycle from one end of our district to the other, more than likely in about 15 or 20 minutes, but we have got tracks all over the place, tracks from the beach to the hills and back again, and from one end of our district to the other. So what a great place to come and get your recreational life on. Kia ora.
Martin, if you can cycle from one end of the district to the other in 20 minutes, I want to see it.
Okay, Glenn. I see you're doing a note preparation for the next question.
I was doodling. Doodling, sorry.
So what number are you choosing?
What do you got there?
Got 2, got 4, got 5,
I'll
got
go
10 down the back
I'll
here.
go 10. Go 10.
Go 10. No, we don't.
9 was a shocker.
Yes, yes. Okay. Councils are being given roles and responsibilities from central government coming from regulation and legislation. These are referred to as unfunded mandates. What is your opinion on unfunded mandates from central government?
Yeah, they suck. That's what I think about them. So, they suck big time. So those who haven't, it's reasonably complex, but in short, it's central government pushing out, making local government do stuff for them that they should be doing and not funding councils for it. So councils do more costs, more expenses that central government should be doing and more ratepayer hardship. So no, they suck, and councils and local government should be pushing back as much as they can.
Okay. I love the clapping here, so much of it. And Martin, what box number? Oh, number 30. Or as I'm trying to think. Was it Toru to Ko? What? Okay, should councils be forced to treat their potable water with fluoride?
No. Which part of that do you not understand? Fluoride, it's there for health reasons. Health is the responsibility of the person, and little people, their health is the responsibility of the older people that brought them up. It is not the responsibility of central government, and nor is it the responsibility of the council. The council should be providing uncontaminated water, and it should be free. That's all.
Or they could say fixed rate charging.
No, free.
Free. Yeah. Okay, Murray. Feels like I'm just waking up. I'm not sure. Yes, number 2 is still there. Your mic.
I'll take number 2 then.
Number 2. Oh, I do like this one. What will you bring to the table that is different from the current leadership?
Honesty, integrity, and common sense. Especially the common sense.
Okay, and David, you're up next.
Number 4, is number 4 there?
Yes, number 4 is still there.
Please. Thank you.
Okay, now I better actually make sure I know which button to press, otherwise we're going to be having a very interesting question relying on me saying it. Climate change is one of the biggest threats What will you personally do to role model decarbonisation?
Well, by accident, I've taken out my log burner and put in a pretty little fire, but that was by accident. And I'm driving 2 cars which use petrol. And I think I'll probably get one that's half and half, because one of the guys I was on a committee with, he drove to Palmerston North, but there's no plugs for him, so he couldn't get home again or something. So, and I went to a climate change conference in January 2005, and a lot of water's gone under the bridge since then, and not much has happened really. Look, it's only the weather that's changing people's minds, I think. That's actually
And the
happening.
price of fuel.
Yep, and the price of fuel. Yep.
Yes. Okay. We are about to hit for a hard break, so we're going to take that a bit early now. So we're going to be taking a bit of a break, and we'll see you back after the break with hard-hitting questions.
We're driving cars on a Mars tonight. We're blasting off to the stars tonight. We wanna go, go. We wanna go, We're driving cars on a Mars tonight. We're blasting off to the stars tonight. We wanna go, go. We wanna go, go.
Okay, and welcome back, and I'm back over on my usual desk, and let's sit there and get ready for hard-hitting questions. Okay, so, and I better actually change the, where is it? Now, that's the one I want for the background, to have hard-hitting questions on there. That was a little bit silly of me not getting that done on time. Okay, so with hard-hitting questions, they are the questions that are from all the candidates they're important issues. So every candidate is expected to answer a hard-hitting question, and we do 3 hard-hitting questions per show. And that's with the theme of 2022. One of those questions will be about free waters reform. And ironically, the first hard-hitting question, if we sit there and get it up on the screen. So, what is your position on all free waters lifting safe, reliable drinking water and better environmental performance of wastewater and stormwater services, efficient, sustainable, resilient and accountable multi-regional water and sewage services? Now, we've got, Martin on the end, who's also got the mic ready to go. You're up first.
Thank you for that, because this is something which we can't, in the regions that have been put forward for this, there are a number of variations, and I honestly believe that the assets that each region has, each district has, should remain there, and they cannot just be taken away. Point one, if you want to fix the 3 waters in themselves, once again, each region has different problems. And within each region, you have a variation of capability as well. So why should those good ones, and we can look at Kapiti themselves, I can't talk for any other region. I don't think that a regional organization can do any better than what the Kapiti Coast can for themselves. And how do we see the value of adding an additional layer of bureaucracy that needs to be funded in some way? And where is the benefit, the dollar benefit for the ratepayers that are giving up an asset? We don't see that, and therefore it's a no.
And then heading one door to the left, Martin.
What's my position on the 3 waters? Well, look, in a nutshell, local knows local. The issue I have with the 3 waters, and look, we all know that our current situation from New Zealand Inc.'s perspective is not sustainable. There's a lot of things that need to be fixed around the country, and that's due to the funding way, which the mechanism for all these services is via rates. As I said before, local knows local, and this is a difference between central and local government. And I think there's a little bit of a misunderstanding between central government understanding how local government works. One of the big concerns I've got around all this reform is the funding aspect of it. Ratepayers will still be paying for all this. Government's not tipping any funds into this as such. I find that concerning because I think rates is a very blunt tool, and I think that if we are to actually get on top of this problem, yes, we can borrow till the cows come home, but it does need to be repaid. Part of the funding for this needs to come out of taxation. It's as simple as that. We have a very similar, we have a method through Wakakotahi or the old NZTA, where it's a 50-50 split on roading between rates and taxation. I think that would be a good step. With regards to water and regulation, I was quite gobsmacked to find out that there was actually no regulator for our water. That's been put in place. That's a really good first step with regards to ensuring delivery of those services. But from a Kapiti Inc. perspective, I think we're actually in a pretty good place, but we have the debt to prove that. And hopefully we're going to get some of that debt taken off us if the assets go west as well. But at the end of the day, this is going to be legislated, or this is in the process of being legislated. And that's why we haven't been able to have these conversations with the community, for the simple reason that it's just literally coming straight over the top of who we are as a local council. My concern is, what is local government going to look like on the tail end of this?
Okay, Murray, you're up next. Yes.
I believe there needs to be more regulation on waters, on sewage, wastewater and potable water, but I'm not convinced that centralisation is the answer to this. Kapiti's in a really good place on their waters. We've invested heavily over the years, and we actually are much more efficient than the national norm. But I don't think that 3 waters is the answer for this area.
Okay. Next up, David.
Well, when places are settled, it's really on the basis of where the potable water is coming from. Water is an absolute essential part of any civilized place, or any place where you want to put down and reside. You need some water. And Clive was a really good example of where there were people died from poisoning of water, and just park that there. And I think we here have got the benefit of having the CEO, as I understand, was a water engineer from my conversations with him, and you get bore water here. You've got a very good supply of water. And I think that there needs to be something done nationally. We need to have the best standard of water, potable water, around the country. There's no doubt about that. How it's done is open to debate. And I think at least the present government has gone about attacking and tackling the problem. National are talking about just establishing the things that have been done. Well, I think we should, I was pleased to hear that the regulation, Martin mentioned the regulation has been put in place. And I think that needs to be proceeded with till we come up with a really good working thing. I don't think we should make it into a corporation and then sell it off to the French. I think that's so much part of our society to have good water. Thank you.
Next up, Glenn.
Yeah, so for me, it's a bit of a different question, really. The aspirations of 3 waters, which is to deliver healthy, clean, safe drinking water, look after our wastewater and our sewage, those aspirations are fantastic. And, that's what we want as a community. Yeah, let's not beat around the bush. 3 waters is being mandated. It's going to be forced on us in some form or another, and local council's probably not going to get much of a say in terms of that. So for me, it's not so much do I support 3 waters, because I don't like anything about it. It's we're going to get paid X amount of dollars for our assets. That money is going to come into the community, come into the council. So the question for me is, do you want the people that we've had over 3 to 6 years spending that money, wasting that money? Or do you want people at council at the seat who cherish that money, who make evidence-based decisions, who aren't emotive, who believe in good plan and good process? If that's what you want for that money that's going to come to our district, then vote for someone like me, vote for me, because they're the values and the decision-making processes I bring. So absolutely aspire to awesome water in all aspects, looking after our environment, looking after our health, but, we're not going to get a say in it. So let's make sure that we fight for the best outcome we can get in terms of getting paid the most we can for our assets that we're going to lose, and then spending that money really in a way that lets us live here with rates of affordability and costs of living and good spend.
Okay, thank you for the answers for hard-hitting question number 1. So let's go on to hard-hitting question number 2. Taking into consideration all the information we have on the Kapiti Gateway, will you vote to stop the project and why? Let's start off with Glenn.
Thank you. Boom, 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 boom. I've been waiting for this all night. So those who don't know me, I've owned the business out to Kapiti Island, and were not brought into the project, but certainly consulted at the early stages of this project. And it really has been a poster child on how not to run a project. So I've actually got a little list, and I know inside out, but I didn't want to forget or drop anything off. So the council never actually engaged with the community right from the get-go. They had this project in mind and pretty much bulldozed over completely over top of the members of the public. Some very good people ran a survey, a petition. Over 3,000 locals signed that petition, and council just screwed it up, threw it in the rubbish. Disgraceful behaviour. So we've seen unethical behaviour across this project. No community support. We've seen a confused project. So let's put major infrastructure at the high tide mark in a tidal zone on fragile dunes a year after we make a climate emergency, and let's just ignore the climate emergency and build a gateway down on the high tide mark. 2 years, still no resource consent. First resource consent was shredded after hundreds of thousands of dollars spent on it. So we've still got no resource consent. We still don't have a business plan 2 years into it. Still with a projected OPEX of $400,000 per year. It's just been an absolute disaster. And I think that's one of the things that needs to be fixed moving forward is looking at getting community back involved in decisions. So for me, it's just been terrible. Gateway, stop it, please. And especially for the mayoralty as well, I think people need to come out and say where they stand on it, because it's a $7.7 million black hole. I'll stop here.
Okay, next up, Murray.
Hey, Glenn, can you take this one for me? Pretty much, actually. I will vote to stop the gateway immediately. This project has already ballooned out. The cost to ratepayers it's gone from 2.2 million to 5.5 million. By the time it's finished, it's going to be $8 million of your money that they're going to spend on this. Now, if there's an argument for a cultural and visitor centre, let's go out to the community and consult properly on it and find something that has community support, because the gateway does not have community support. I understand that some councillors who have previously voted for this project are now requesting another council vote. Perhaps they've got their finger in the air and seeing which way the wind is blowing. But what they've done is they said, well, let's not make a final decision on this until after we've spent another $70,000 of your money on resource consents and after the election as well. This is arrogant disregard for ratepayers' money and their views. We must engage in proper community consultation, and I'll bring my business experience and common sense to bear on how the council spends your money.
Okay, Martin Halliday. Just because I can't point over here because no one's going to see it.
Glenn, I feel your pain with regards to all this. I I actually campaigned on this going into the last election with regards to the gateway. We had an opportunity there to look at how we were going to upgrade the biosecurity to Kapiti Island. We called that a gateway to Kapiti Island. And it seems to be twisted. It seems like we're trying to fit all sorts of things into this gateway concept, and it's turned into a gateway to Kapiti. But we never had a conversation about what that should look like. This is one of the first chances I've really had as a platform to express my views on this. And it's been quite a tough 3 years with regards to this, because as the local ward councillor and the other local ward councillor as well, Bernie Randall, we voted against this right from the beginning. And we did that because we were a part of the process before the last election that brought us to that point. And as Glenn pointed out, there was a local advisory group that, as part of this process, was supposed to be consulted, and our council jumped over that. To me, this hasn't come from a plan. It seems to be getting made up as it goes. What the driver was money from government. I have no issue about capitalising on opportunities that raise their head, if you like, but you need to plan for them, and you need to have projects ready to go, rather than trying to make them up as you go to fit a square peg into a round hole. And this has polarised our community. We lost the narrative on this almost straight away, and we never got it back. We never came close to getting it back. It wasn't through a lot of hard work by councillors to try and get that narrative, or to even push council into that narrative, but it just didn't happen. And once we lost the narrative, there was no going back. My position hasn't changed, and it won't change. I won't be supporting this moving forward, but I do think we need to go back to the initial kaupapa for that area, talk to our local mana whenua down at the beach. Don't ignore them. Talk to your local community down the beach. Local does know local. We're talking about three waters. You're taking a closer step to the people that are on the ground, and that is your local community. Our town outcomes documents that were done about 10, 12 years ago stated that our community didn't want buildings on the waterfront. And here we are, we've put one on there. And look at climate change. Well, I won't even get started on that. So, no, look, my position hasn't changed. It's just going to keep going through the way that it is. And I guess there'll be a different group of people around the table in a couple of months' time. Hopefully I'm one of them. And I think there'll be a very different outcome when we sit down at that council table.
Okay, next up, David.
Well, Mr. Chair, all I can say is I've learned a lot from the three previous speakers, and I think there's so much truth there and so much honesty there that the whole question of whether it should go ahead needs to be looked at. I think in practical terms, I think it should be stopped until the funding for the rest of the project is to hand. But of course, I'm hearing things about what the local people want. And my feedback from the committees that I'm on is that the community does not want it on their rate bills. They just don't want to pay for any more. And it's going to be like the Lancaster Park in Christchurch. It's just going to double and double and double. And I think it should be controlled right now and fixed. So thanks very much, you guys, for helping me understand that. In the best sense, if it was done correctly, yes. Yes, but only on the basis that, well, my stand was that we should stop it unless and if the money came, we should proceed. But I'm hearing now that these gentlemen, well, that's the point. It should not come from the ratepayer. It should come from government or. Well, I've learned that today too. Yes, that. Yes, I'm not saying I'm agreeing for the sake of agreeing, but I'm learning that you've got money from the government. That's the end of it. So I think that it should stop until you know where you're going. It seems it's like a dog chasing its own tail, to be honest. Correct. That's what I don't like.
Okay, Martin.
It needs to be stopped. It needs to be a reference that we never look at because we don't ever do it like that again. And there are two questions that could stop it right in the beginning. And this would go for any project. The first would be, what is the value to the ratepayer? If there is no value to the ratepayer, there's a big question mark. The second one is, who benefits from that particular project? And if the answer isn't the ratepayer, and where's the value for the ratepayer? If you can't answer that, then what are you doing? Somebody else is benefiting, and how or by what mandate do the ratepayers need to pay for somebody else's benefit? And from a business case perspective, where's the demand? And if the demand isn't there, what are you doing it for? And most importantly, I don't believe that the local community who's going to be affected the most was actually asked what their opinion was. No, I would stop it.
Okay, now let's get on to hard-hitting question number 3. Can you please share your thoughts on COVID vaccination and whether you have any affiliation with the Voice for Freedom, Freedom Rights Coalition, or any other organisation involved in the occupation of Parliament? And we'll start off with Murray.
Okay, I have absolutely no affiliation with any of the groups that were involved in the illegal occupation of Parliament. I also don't believe there's any place in local body politics for party politics, full stop, whether it's large parties or little parties. I'm double vaccinated. I've done that of my own choice, but I respect people's right to make their own choices about whether they get vaccinated or not, and to take the personal responsibility for that.
Okay, Martin, was it Farrenstein? I know you're ready to go.
Yes, I am ready to go. On thoughts on COVID vaccination is a personal health choice. And in the same way as what we've just heard that Murray is vaccinated, I believe it's got nothing to do with anybody else, because if it did, then we can in fact ask each other for, have you had your HIV test? Have you had your STD test? And could you do, so.
I can get some of those.
So why must the vaccination be a public aspect as well? It's my personal choice, and that's where it ends. I have no affiliation with Voices for Freedom. I have been to some of their meetings to understand what they're actually talking about. The Freedom Rights Coalition, I have no idea who they are, or any other organization involved with the occupation of Parliament. I don't know who the other organizations were that were involved with the occupation of Parliament. All that I did see was people expressing their opinion. And what we need to remember, I believe, is that if we are going to listen, we need to hear what it is that the community is saying. And I'm not sure if there was a conversation that happened there. And we should learn from that by not listening to the community, and that's what you're going to get. So we need to, as a council, we need to approach, listen, and then we need to repeat to the community what it is that we've heard. Because I can say one thing and you can hear something different. And that's what was going on at Parliament. And that's not right. We're here for the community and we should listen.
Glenn, you're up next.
Look, I fully support people's right to protest, peacefully protest. And I know that a lot of good people went through to Wellington and protested. From my observation is the central government turned their back on them and wouldn't hear them. And I think that was a shame. And I think that may have had some influence on how it turned in from a protest to an occupation to a riot. And when we stop listening to people is when we start having problems. Personally, COVID and the pandemic has morphed and changed in the last 2 years. I understood the reason for mandates initially. However, I think as the pandemic changed and morphed itself, I saw no need for the mandates to continue. So I don't support mandates. I believe in free choice and personal responsibility. In terms of affiliation to the Voices, I have none. I have an auntie who protested, but I don't think she's a freedom fighter. I actually met one today down at the beach. He was heading back up to Thames. He lived next door to the Prime Minister. Owned a farm up there. He seemed like a good guy, but anyway. No, I have no affiliation to any of those people. But just on seriously, I think probably more so important if we've got people who are standing for councillors, mayor, and even community boards. If they've got strong connections into Greens, Labour, government, I think that is as much an issue as fringe elements. People hiding behind the independent when we know they're not. Yeah, I think that's just as dangerous. Thank you.
Okay, and we've got our other Martin.
Can I dodge the question?
No.
Really? Oh. Look, these are hard acts to follow with regards to the views that I'm hearing here, because I agree with them. And I take Glenn's point with regards to different affiliations being involved in local politics. I think local should look after local. And I think the difference between central government and local government is that local voice, and it's the voice of 11 individual people at that table, rather than party politics at that table. That's central government stuff. And, we know our communities. With regards to my thoughts on COVID-19, interestingly enough, I've got the health portfolio, which was a bit of a surprise to the mayor when COVID hit. I trod on a few toes, but we dodged a bullet back then, and I think anyone that says that we didn't needs to really have a good hard look at what we went through back then. But times have changed. Back then the government made some hard choices, and we didn't know what we were dealing with. But that's changed a lot now. My view on the mandates have been that for the last 6, 7, at least 8 months, that they are past their use-by date. I tried to bring this up at the council table, but there wasn't any appetite for the conversation, which I found a bit disappointing. It doesn't matter whether I'm agreed with or not, but I think the conversation should have been had. I think the mandates as they currently stand aren't fit for purpose, and I think we need to be looking at that freedom of choice as we move forward. We are going to be moving forward as a society with COVID, and we've got to live with it. And I think penalising people for their personal choice at this stage of the process, firing them from their jobs, for not employing them, for not having associations with them is creating a divisive community, and it's not a community I'm happy with. Do I have any affiliations with any of those groups? No, I don't. Do I believe they have the right to protest? Yes, I do, but in a peaceful manner. And I'm a little bit worried about our social freedoms perhaps being a little bit eroded, and I think it's a bit of a concern, and that's part of that centralisation that's going on at the moment as well. So I just want to just do a quick shout out. I'm super impressed with everything I've been hearing here tonight. We've got some really thoughtful people that are coming up with some really interesting information. And we're going to need strong voices at our council table being strong voices for our community. So I'm just going to ask everybody, have a good look at these people. They bring different things to the equation, and do your homework and, vote thoughtfully, because it's things like this over here that can potentially be encroaching on our freedoms, and we have to be a little bit wary about all that sort of thing. Thank you.
Okay, David.
It's working. No, I'm not a member of any of those parties. I have walked past the protesters at Parliament, and one or two clients were in the office, and they've been members, and they went to all the meetings there. And I've been part of a committee of that hired Ashley Bloomfield, one of his jobs, and even links to the Spanish flu, so the family dying. But what I can't understand, Mr. Chair, is why there was the absolute lockdown and one person died and now people are dying in their scores. I can't reconcile that, all of that thing. And it's had a profound influence on our economy, the schools, the youth, just the whole question of our society and how it's working and how it's running. It's been a hard time. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, so that's the end of hard-hitting questions. So, candidates, are you ready for your closing statements? So, Glenn, you get to be number one. Sorry, it was Martin at one stage, enough. So, get thrown around. I'm still waiting to find where the John who's standing in this area. We haven't found a John yet, have we? No.
Well, you turned me off.
Okay.
Closing statement. Okay, so I guess for the people watching here and at home, there's a decision to make around who you want as your ward councillor. So there's a pretty clear choice. There's me. No, look, so the question is, what do I bring? So what do we know? I'm a West Coast boy, born in the country, got good values, care about people, care about the community. So that's a good starting point. I'm not a wokester, which is good. I've been to council meetings and you sit there and they talk and talk and talk and talk and actually nothing comes out. So you're actually not going to get that with me. I'm an evidence-based decision maker. So the decisions I make on behalf of you guys is, does it stand up fiscally? And if it doesn't, has it got community support? And that's the decision makers I'll put across everything that I need to make decisions on. And hopefully we can get rates at a sustainable level. That's a good start. In terms of the Paraparaumu ward, the big one for us moving forward is the Kapiti Airport. I think that's an exciting opportunity for the Kapiti Coast, and in particular for our ward residents. It's going to be a 20-year project. It's going to bring development, it's going to bring jobs, it's going to bring community, and I think we should be excited about that. And I think as a council ward, we need to be out there with the community and bring our decision making from the bottom up. So get our community boards really engaged, listening to our community, out there active, empower them to do a really good job, feed up to the council, the ward councillors, and then those councillors can fight for the awards and fight for the residents of Kapiti, to the mayor and to the CE. So good luck voting. I think it's an exciting time for Kapiti.
Okay, Martin Halliday.
to follow that. Right. Well, it's been a great night, and I've thoroughly enjoyed myself, and I hope the audience have as well. My wrapping up is 3 years ago, or actually 6 years ago, I made a decision to want to get more involved in my community. It had come through having a business down at the beach. Interestingly, you know, I'm a product of a generation. I've had businesses down in Wellington. I've hardly had any dealings with council. I didn't know much about council life. And my affiliations through our business association brought me into contact with the council. And I must admit I wasn't super impressed. So I elected to put my hand up, and didn't get in first time round, learned some lessons. And but what I did do was get more involved in the community. It was a pathway for me to get more involved in the community. And Carl, you've been a big part of that. Just a bit of shout out to you, bro. And that man's running for the community board, by the way, by the community board as well. The second time around, I did get in, and I made certain promises, and I've delivered on them. You know, I've stood my ground on the gateway, and my thought processes around that. That's been challenging at times. And I've delivered on other aspects, and I won't go into those. You can check that out on my website, or ask a question around that if you like. I'm excited moving forward. I think, not taking anything away, I think we've achieved a lot this last triennium, but a lot of it's been very, it's unfortunately been overshadowed substantially by the gateway. That's been a very polarizing, and it's taken away from a lot of the good things that we've done. We've done a lot of work in housing. Previously, that's not something that had been addressed. We've put a high-level strategy in place, and we've already got funding coming in from government. Did you know that being a tier one, we weren't, you know, the government didn't think we had any need here. We've had to prove it, and we've done that. And we've already got funding, and we've already got housing coming in, but we need to step it up now. And we need to make that regulatory way of doing business in Kapiti work better than what it currently is. Our reputation is not that crash hot in that space. I'm going to do a quick shout out. I'm running for the mayor, so please vote for Martin for the mayor. And that gives you 3 more votes here at the table for Paraparaumu councillors to come through. But if I don't get the mayoralty, I would be privileged to do another 3 years representing you, the Paraparaumu community. I love this place. I'm making opportunity choices, just about everybody here is, because I think this work is important. And I look forward to applying the skills that I've learnt, the information that I've stored up in my head over the last 3 years. I'm looking forward to applying that with hopefully some people that are sitting here with us as well, and other members of our community, to make Kapiti the great place that I know that it can be. I think it is a great place, but I think we can be even better. And I'm looking forward to that journey. Kia ora.
Okay, Murray.
Well, this has been an interesting exercise for me tonight. I have probably spoken less than anybody else here. I'm not a real good speaker, but I'm a real good listener. And I want to get out there and consult with the community, listen to what the community's concerns, and then advocate the hell out of it at the council table. I've already stated my position on the gateway. There are other major issues here. Glenn referred to the airport. I think that the airport's a fantastic opportunity. It's not sustainable in its present form. Something's got to change. And as a council, I think we should be working with Templeton to get the best deal for the area that we can out of any development that happens there. I'm not a real greenie, but climate change is here. I look at climate change in 2 ways. There's prevention and mitigation. The prevention, the council can do a heck of a lot. I mean, waste is just one little thing that you can point to. We've got 3 lots of trucks chasing each other around the district every day to pick up rubbish. That is just crazy. It's been taken out of our area. It's going to Hokio and being buried in the sand there and polluting the hell out of the waterways up there. And that's about to close, and then it's going to probably have to go to Bonnie Glen. It's 116 kilometres away. So all our waste is going to go into somebody else's area, and just think of the carbon footprint that that's producing. Mitigation, I think, is equally important. I don't know that we can do a heck of a lot to stop climate change. Climate changes, that's what it is. But we need to mitigate the results. And I look at the Waikanae River, every time we get half a decent rainfall, it floods. Now, back in the day, we used to be taking gravel out of the Waikanae River estuary and it didn't flood. But now we don't do that, and that's actually a regional council issue, and the regional council aren't taking it out because they haven't given themselves another resource consent to do so. But this council should be pushing them to start doing that and stop the flooding in the Waikanae River every time it rains. So, like I said, I'm a listener rather than a talker. I'm passionate about this area. I'm also standing for mayoralty, so if you're going to give Martin your number 1 vote, give me the number 2, please. What you'll get from me is somebody who will bring common sense and business experience to the table and will work hard for this area.
Okay. Yes, I have got it on. Martin, right down on the far end.
Thank you for that. We've heard, and hopefully you've heard at home, and I'd like you to remember 3 things. I'm told that we have difficulty in remembering more than 3 things. So the first one is health, and we are all getting older. And if we don't stand up, get together, and decide what it is that we want for our health localities, we will get what we are told we are going to have. And we as a community need to be led and coordinated by the council. The council needs to listen to what the community is asking for, and the council needs to be transparent in what it actually does. Now, those 3 things are important, but I'm going to ask you just to push that memory just a little bit more and remember that unless we, the ratepayers, are getting a benefit, then somebody else is getting it. If we're not getting it, somebody else is. And if somebody else is getting it, why are we paying for it? And that's the simple questions that I will ask when sitting at the table. I'm not a politician, and I'm probably not very politically correct either. But that doesn't really matter, because until we actually ask the question, listen to the answer, and work with the community, we ain't going nowhere in a hurry. Thank you.
Okay. Lucky last. David.
Well, Mr. Chairman, I must say that I've really enjoyed tonight. I've learned a great deal from the gentlemen that have been here. And I think the audience has too. They've been really giving us feedback about what we should be doing, and it's appreciated on this side. All I'll say about myself is that I aspire for us to do the best. And I'll give you some facts. We were the best council as to rates and debt. And we did a lot of other things. We had record expenditure on capital expenditure, and I was really into the arts. I was the person that set up the Sculpture Trust. I talked about the water, which is the best in the region, coming through the aquifers. I took a record number at the time of remits to the annual local government conference. I was a bit of a stirrer, to be honest. I mean, without my intervention, we wouldn't have had the transmission gully go out for feedback. They were just going to put out the Centennial Drive, so I said, "Well, you've got to put the other one out." There was a lot of infighting going on there. So that is part of what I did. And over to Rimataka, I said, "Well, what about Muldoon's Corner?" And so I don't mind getting up. Accountants can get excitable, which is what I am. But I don't mind getting up and putting people on the spot. And one thing that I've not enjoyed, the Zoom meetings and the way that the meetings are run here. They've got to improve if you're going to get anywhere. Now, I was on Access Radio. It says, "Do not be derogatory." Well, please, I'm not trying to be derogatory, but the running of the meetings have got to be businesslike. The staff have got to aspire to be the best in the country, and we can make this place really hum. We could have proper town planning. We could have best industry here. We could work in with the government, make ourselves a model of the care of the aged. We need to work in with the police. And the police are our strength, to be honest. So there is a lot of good things that I can see through the metal of the people where they're all strong, but there's a lot of things that we have done that are the best. And I think I'm proud of what we've done as part of a team, and I hope that this team that's coming into the council, it doesn't tear itself apart. We need a team that's going to work together and going to win. Thank you.
And it's that time of night again where we're going to be saying our goodbyes for this show. Now, just to give a quick moment, because before I proceed, I've got to make sure I get the right schedules up here so I advertise the right shows. Okay. Gee, smartphones have a lot of fun. So, for those who are wanting to sit down there and come back and watch us online tomorrow, or travel all the way to Nainai College, we'll be having the Eastern Ward of Hutt City Council tomorrow night. Now, if you want to sit there and travel to the bush of Wilton, we have our Wharangi Onslow Western Ward of Wellington City Council happening at Te Kura Otari School on Sunday night. And for the ones where the audience are probably more focused on, we'll be spending 2 nights in Waikanae next week. On Monday night, we'll be doing District at Large at the Waikanae Community Centre. And on Tuesday, we will be doing the Waikanae Ward at the Community Centre. And just because we can pipe up a bit there, if you really want to watch the next mayoral show, we've got the Hutt City Council mayoralty at the Little Theatre next to the Dow's Museum in Lower Hutt on Wednesday, the 31st of August. So there's a few shows you can watch out for, and you can sit there and watch them here. I'd like to thank Glenn Cooper, Murray Lobb, David Ogden, Martin Halloway, and Martin Furenstein for coming today to tonight's show. I'd like to thank our audience for being here. We've had very good, engaging debate, and thank you for all the clapping, showing support. I feel some of you are going to have some difficult decisions on how you rank your voting papers, but that's the joys of STV. You can rank everyone you like. Yeah. I'd also like to thank Stacey, Ray, Nick, and Eddie for being part of the show tonight, and you've helped made things work again. I'd also like to thank Greater Wellington Regional Council for providing the public transport for Stacey, considering I've only got 2 seats in the vehicle and coming all out from Wellington is not easy. And it's great to be back on the Kapiti Coast. I spent 18 years of my life living here, and it's great to see the great vibrantness of the community. And I remember last time when I was living here, where we're filming the show tonight, it was a primary school. Now, if you have any questions you want to submit for It's in the Ballot, please head on to our website where you can go and submit the questions. Or if you don't want to touch the computer and want to get your telephone out, you can dial 0508 Ballot, select which line you want to leave it on, and leave a question. Remember, our rule with questions are we want it to be able to be asked to any candidate, because you never know which candidate's going to open the box.
It's in the ballot.
Yeah. So for those who want to see us tomorrow at 7 p.m. back here on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch, we'll see you tomorrow. But actually, just before we go, I'd like to thank Nigel Wilson for giving us the opportunity to share this show on the KC News Facebook page. That is something that, you know, one of our had a partnering deal to do it. Thank you, Nigel, for doing that. It helps bring in more viewers to the show. So, wish everyone a good night. Goodbye.